They come into the ring with a strategy and you have to eliminate their strategy. So that's why in sparring you work on just defending, moving out of range, going through the rounds and doing it.
Defend the straight shots, that's it, good. Feet now, good. Little feint again, that's it. Just keep it simple, don't give nothing away, that's it, nice.
Whether it's former fighters or whoever, just they don't give Jake any chance at all. I'm not saying he doesn't have any chance. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that, everybody in the know-how as far as the boxing world, they're like, Jake has zero chance to win this fight.
Being brought in to work with Jake, but I don't know that Ben Davison would do that. I don't know if just as AJ leaves to go train with, and this is why I say Ben Davison, AJ has left to go and train with Usyk's team. Left Ben Davison, go train with Usyk's team. I don't know, because their relationship is so good, I don't know that Ben Davison would just turncoat on AJ and help somebody prepare for him.
Anthony Joshua's training camp has become a major point of focus as the fight with Jake Paul draws near, and the footage reveals how seriously he is preparing. His work demonstrates the high-level conditioning and movement he aims to bring to this matchup. Every drill reflects intensity and purpose. The biggest reveal from inside the camp is not a new conditioning drill, it's personnel. Joshua has split from the Ben Davison era and is now preparing with members of Alexander Usyk's team, training away from London in a quieter environment. That's a seismic shift. AJ is effectively borrowing philosophies from the man who beat him twice, seeking to plug holes rather than simply rebuild brute power. The change was confirmed in recent reporting covering Joshua's preparations. That decision hasn't been without noise. Critics in the British boxing scene, notably Dillian White, have questioned whether rotating camps is the right approach and have even suggested Joshua looks lost. Expect this friction to fuel camp motivation as much as it fuels press cycle drama.
I'm hearing this is true that AJ has gone out to train with Alexander Usyk's team. So I don't know if that means Alexander Usyk per se, but Alexander Usyk's team. I have no issues with that at all. Some people might sort of throw out the phrase, if you can't beat them, join them. AJ's always kind of done that. A lot of fighters do this as well, by the way, but when it's AJ, it's big noise. A lot of fighters go to camps and spend a couple of weeks in a camp. Like, most fighters do it, in fact. They'll go to a camp, spend a couple of weeks, Obviously, it looks a bit different because AJ Usyk, but most fighters do that. I mean, there's no problem sort of soaking up knowledge and seeing how people do things. Like, why would you not want to see how one of the greatest heavyweights in the world trains and what he's doing over there? You'd want to see it. I don't know if it means AJ's going to jump ship and be trained by Alexander Usyk's team. I doubt that very much. But I don't see.
Camp insiders mention a selective sparring group, southpaws to mimic Paul's tricky footwork and lighter but quick heavyweight partners to simulate Jake's speed and movement. The sparring emphasis is short rounds with high tempo, conditioning the body to handle quick in and out exchanges and recover fast between bursts. Coaches reportedly rotate partners so Joshua sees a catalogue of styles: awkward, fast, and clinch-heavy. That variety helps when facing an opponent like Paul, who mixes boxing fundamentals with unconventional movement patterns. On the other hand, Jake Paul's preparation for the upcoming showdown with Anthony Joshua has become one of the most discussed topics in boxing commentary, largely due to the surprising decisions he is making behind the scenes. Reports suggest that Paul has been bringing in trainer Don Charles, a coach known for his work with Daniel Dubois. This choice immediately raised eyebrows because Dubois is regarded as a powerful heavyweight who once trained under Charles and even holds a knockout victory over Anthony Joshua. According to discussion circulating in fan and analyst circles, the possibility of Paul working with someone who has shaped a fighter associated with an AJ knockout victory creates a sense of strategy and symbolism that some analysts believe Paul is intentionally leaning into. Wade, the analyst, expands on this idea by saying there is also a chance that Paul may reach out to Ben Davison, another notable name in boxing training. Davison once worked as Joshua's trainer, but their partnership ended, leaving him unattached and potentially open to joining Paul's camp.
Some other fighters as well. I think Josh Taylor as well. So that would be a guy that's potentially being brought in to work with Jake, but I don't know that Ben Davison would do that. I don't know if just as AJ leaves to go train with, and this is why I say Ben Davison, AJ has left to go and train with Usyk's team. Left Ben Davison, go train with Usyk's team. I don't know, because their relationship is so good, I don't know that Ben Davison would just turncoat on AJ and help somebody prepare for him. Don't think that would happen, unless it was like a Tyson Fury who he already had a relationship with. So that leaves another individual. That leaves Mr. Don Charles. Don Charles, British boxing trainer, known for coaching Derek Chisora, but also known for coaching one Daniel Dubois, who just so happened, as you see here in this little very small picture down on the right side here, just so happened to, as of earlier this year, absolutely chin and stop AJ in dramatic, epic fashion in AJ's triumphant return after AJ stopped Francis Ngannou and had all his confidence back and was fighting for a world title, and Daniel Dubois said, "No, sir, not tonight." If this is true, it makes things very interesting. Don Charles was in a pretty much chaotic camp. If you guys remember with Daniel Dubois, it was like Daniel Dubois' dad was also kind of training him, which was an issue with Shane McGuigan when he was there. And then Don Charles came in and it was chaos in the corner, and Don was trying to coach and couldn't really do it. And a lot of people thought that Don didn't get his fair shake when it came to Daniel Dubois, and got a lot of the blame for Dubois losing to Usyk just a couple of months ago. But he is a very good trainer and a guy that just worked on a game plan to beat Anthony Joshua. Now again, Daniel Dubois is also 6'4" and 250 pounds with a crazy reach. So you can't teach Jake Paul that. What will Don Charles teach to Jake if that's...
While Paul's coaching experiments continue to spark discussions, Henry, a podcast host, focuses on the physical reality of this matchup. According to him, Jake Paul weighs around 227 pounds, while Anthony Joshua stands at around 245 pounds. At a surface level, Paul might have looked at that difference and thought it was manageable. A gap of roughly 20 pounds does not appear extreme when viewed numerically. However, Henry points out that this fight is not about numbers on a scale but about the sharp contrast in stamina, experience, endurance, height, and ring maturity. Joshua is taller and significantly more seasoned in handling high-pressure fights. He has gone deep into rounds against world-class opponents, which gives him a level of conditioning that Paul has never been required to develop.
But whatever, and I'll still be able to go and fight MMA fighters and all that sort of thing. I think he well knows that he could lose against someone much worse than Joshua, so why not just do it? At the same time, yeah, it's entirely possible he also thinks he could genuinely put a dent in Joshua and win this fight, which is mad. The other factors are the circumstances of the fight. You know, it's an 8-rounder, so Jake may even be thinking, well, maybe I can out-jab him for a round and run around. I'm quicker than him, potentially. Maybe my gas tank's better than his. Potentially, I can do this for 8 rounds. I'm going to say now I don't think his gas tank is better than AJ's, and there's another reason why that's definitely not going to be the case, in my opinion. But Jake might be telling himself this. Or worst-case scenario, I am getting hurt. He is winning the fight, but I can run around for 8 rounds, make AJ look silly. I can frustrate him, get through it on a points loss, which would be a giant win for Jake and a massive, massive loss for AJ if he just won this fight on points. The other thing is the fact that they're putting in a weight clause in this fight. So there is a maximum weight limit for the fight. Apparently, Anthony Joshua can't weigh more than 245 pounds. And just to give you context for what that means, Anthony Joshua's previous weights, Daniel Dubois, he was 252 and a quarter, Francis Ngannou, 252 and a half, Wallen 251, Helenius 250, Franklin 255, and then the Usyk fights, he was in the 240, so 240 and 244 and a half. Basically, it's a weight that Anthony Joshua hasn't been in 3 years, but also Anthony Joshua, as a heavyweight, has never had to cut weight. So even if he is in the 250s, let's say he's the same weight as Ngannou, it's a 7-pound water cut, which isn't really much when you're a man as big as Anthony Joshua, if indeed that's what he decides to do, rather than just taking the weight off anyway. And if he does decide to take the weight off anyway, what we'll see is someone who's got better stamina. But again, I think this gives Jake Paul confidence. He thinks, well, I'll come in probably around about 220. He was 227 when he fought Mike Tyson, so he'll probably be thinking, well, it might only be a 20-pound weight difference, which is not insurmountable. I'm talking as if I'm Jake Paul right now, just to reiterate. And if he does decide to cut water weight, which maybe they know Joshua's pretty big right now because he's not been fighting for a while. I think he's been in some sort of training camp. But another factor is Joshua's coming off the back of an elbow surgery. He had an issue for a while.
Johnny Nelson adds to the conversation by stating confidently that Paul is making a huge mistake by accepting this fight. He suggests that the scale of risk far outweighs the potential reward and describes the decision as one of the most questionable choices Paul has made in his boxing career. Nelson argues that taking on a fighter with Joshua's pedigree is not simply ambitious, it is unnecessarily dangerous. He believes Paul could have continued fighting opponents closer to his level and gradually built toward bigger names. Instead, he has leapt toward one of the most physically intimidating heavyweights of the modern era. According to Nelson, that leap may cost him heavily because Joshua combines speed, power, accuracy, and elite-level experience. By stepping into the ring with someone who has dominated the sport for years, Paul has created a scenario where one mistake could end the fight instantly.
And Jake Paul, you know what? There's still something inside of me that just tells me It's not going to happen. And I don't know why. I don't know why, because all the press and the money's been spent on building this up. I'm like, there's something inside me thinking, this ain't going to happen. Even to the point where Jake Paul's hired Don Charles to be his coach or assistant coach or be involved in the team. You know, so he's making all the moves. And I just thought, if there's not a fix, if there's not some kind of settlement in this, and it is legit, as they say it is, he's 10 ounce gloves over 8 rounds. It baffles me why Jake Paul would do it unless he's cashing out. I said it last week. I'll say it next week. I just think, is this going to happen? Is it going to happen? I just don't know. I'm struggling.
Ariel Helwani also weighs in, highlighting the unprecedented nature of Paul's decision. He explains that Paul has never faced a fighter anywhere near Joshua's size. Every opponent Paul has fought so far has been smaller or equal in size, often coming from different sports or lighter weight classes. Entering the ring with someone as physically massive and technically refined as Joshua is something entirely new for Paul. Helwani believes the challenge is not just about weight, it's about the overall presence and pressure that a heavyweight like Joshua brings. When the first punch lands, he says, Paul will feel the difference between a cruiserweight level exchange and a heavyweight one. And Anthony Joshua is a legitimate heavyweight.